In early 2024, Mexico ranked among the top countries in Latin America for cases of femicide where women are killed simply because they are women. But behind each number is a name, a face, a life. One of those lives belonged to Valeria Alvarez, a young woman with bright eyes and a calming voice who had quietly built a following on TikTok. Her videos weren't flashy or dramatic, they were soft, real, like talking to a friend across the table. She worked at a modest beauty salon in Guadalajara, filming live streams during slow afternoons, sharing bits of her day with strangers who had come to care for her. But on one quiet afternoon, something happened that no one watching could have ever expected. What they witnessed was not part of the show. It was something else entirely, something chilling. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. Valeria's days followed a gentle rhythm. She'd open the small salon just before noon, greet the neighboring shop owners with a smile, and water the single potted plant by the entrance. At 26, she balanced two lives, one offline, filled with haircuts and quiet conversation, and one online, where nearly 200,000 followers tuned in to watch her fold towels, unbox gifts, or share thoughts about her day. She never called herself a star. She didn't chase trends or drama. That was part of her charm. She made ordinary moments feel special. Her live streams felt like a window into something safe, soft, and deeply human. Sometimes she'd mention how a stranger left flowers by the door or how someone asked about her when she wasn't there. She'd brush it off with a smile. But in hindsight, those things small. A man had come by the salon a few times before, never aggressive, never loud. Just curious. Once he stopped by when Valeria wasn't there and asked the staff when she'd be back. Another time he left a small gift bag with no note. Valeria mentioned it briefly during a live stream, laughing it off, saying someone must have mistaken her for someone else. But over time, the visits became more frequent, always during odd hours, always when she was alone. On that March afternoon, she noticed the same man walking past the salon for the third time in under an hour. She glanced up at her phone, still live on TikTok, smiled faintly, and kept filming. Maybe it was nothing. After all, people walk by all the time, don't they? Over the next few days, the unease began to grow. Valeria noticed the man again, this time standing across the street, just watching. Not moving, not waving, just there. One of the salon's clients even whispered, "That guy's been out there a while," before shrugging it off. Valeria tried to keep things normal. She kept streaming, kept smiling. But off camera, she started locking the door during her shifts, something she'd never done before. She mentioned to a friend that she thought someone might be following her, but quickly added, "It's probably nothing." That's what she wanted to believe. Still, she started glancing over her shoulder more often, checking the windows during breaks. Her audience didn't notice anything unusual. The lighting was soft, her voice steady. But behind the calm exterior, something was shifting. The kind of fear that creeps in slowly, quiet, but steady. One morning, before opening the salon, Valeria arrived early and parked a block away just to watch from a distance. She had started keeping a small notebook in her purse, jotting down times and faces, something a friend had suggested when she voiced her concerns. That day, she saw him again, the same man, lingering near the corner store, pretending to check his phone but glancing toward the salon every few minutes. Valeria finally took a photo from her car. That evening, she showed it to her older brother, a local delivery driver who knew most people in the neighborhood. His face changed when he saw it. "I've seen him around," he said quietly. "But not from here, he's from another part of town." It wasn't just a random stranger anymore. Someone had crossed into her world, and now she knew it wasn't accidental. Later that week, Valeria's brother returned with news that chilled her. He'd spoken to a friend who worked near the bus terminal, someone who recognized the man from Valeria's photo. The story was brief but unsettling. The man was known for hovering around young women with an online presence. There were whispers he'd been warned off once by police, but no official record. Just rumors. Nothing you could file a report on. But for Valeria, it was enough. This wasn't just a secret admirer or harmless viewer. Someone had been watching her, tracking her, perhaps even obsessed. And somehow, her quiet corner of the internet had drawn him in. She felt the shift. Her live streams didn't feel safe anymore. The light-hearted tone she'd once loved now felt exposed, vulnerable. She wondered how many others had noticed him too and said nothing. On the afternoon of March 7th, 2024, Valeria hesitated before going live. She'd thought about taking a break, just a few days offline, but part of her didn't want fear to win. The salon was quiet, the light soft, and her phone rested in its usual spot. She pressed Start Live, forcing a smile as the viewer count ticked upward. For a while, everything felt normal. Then, barely 15 minutes in, the door creaked open. It wasn't a client. It was him. The same man from the photo. He stepped in slowly, eyes scanning the room before landing on her. Valeria froze, mid-sentence, the stream still running. Her viewers could see her face change, recognition, confusion, fear. She didn't know whether to speak, to run, or to stay calm. He said nothing. Just stood there. For a long, silent second, everything hung in the air. What would you have done? The man didn't say a word. He reached into his jacket and for a split second, Valeria's heart stopped. But instead of a weapon, he pulled out a folded letter and placed it gently on the counter. Then he turned and walked out. No explanation. No warning. She waited until he was gone, locked the door with trembling hands, and ended the live stream without a word. The letter was rambling, filled with phrases like, "You don't see me," and "We were meant to meet." It was enough. That evening, Valeria filed a formal police report and showed them everything, the photo, the letter, the video. But the fear lingered. Sleep came in short bursts. The salon no longer felt like her space. And yet, for the first time, she wasn't silent. She told her story. And her followers, many of them women, began sharing their own. She wasn't alone anymore. In the weeks that followed, Valeria made changes. She stopped live streaming from the salon and moved her online presence to a private studio space with secure access. With help from a local women's organization, she took self-defense training and worked with a counselor to process the anxiety that had crept into every corner of her life. She also installed a camera system at the salon, not just for protection, but for peace of mind. Slowly, she began to reclaim her space. Her voice on TikTok returned, quieter at first, but stronger with each post. Her story reached beyond her usual followers. It sparked conversations about safety, boundaries, and how easy it is to mistake quiet danger for harmless attention. Valeria never considered herself brave. But facing fear, speaking up, and continuing on, that was its own kind of courage. And for the first time in a long time, she felt safe. Months later, Valeria's life had changed in ways she never expected. The small salon she once called home felt different, safer, yes, but also quieter. Her online community grew more connected, sharing stories, warnings, and support. She learned to balance caution with courage, knowing fear could never fully disappear, but it didn't have to control her. Yet, the question lingered, not just for Valeria, but for everyone watching. How many of us ignore the quiet signs of danger until it's too late? How often do we brush off that uneasy feeling, hoping it's nothing? It's a question without an easy answer. But maybe sharing these stories is the first step toward change. What would you do if you saw someone in a similar situation? Would you speak up or stay silent?